Hey YouTube, welcome back. So if we have never met before, my name is Wes Spencer and I am super excited to be with you guys today. If you've been paying attention to the last video that I dropped on my channel, we were talking all about Secret Network, and Secret is really cool. So I've got some friends, and I hinted at this on the video, that I have some friends that have been involved in the project and have been chatting with them a lot. And I thought, what better of an idea than to bring them on board for my very first hosted or co-hosted video. I've never done this before. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna talk a little bit about Whispernode, the project specifically that they are involved with. And we're also going to be chatting a lot about the future and potential of Secret. And we really wanna demystify this so you guys can get excited about it and see the true potential of what's driving this super awesome crypto forward. So by the way, one thing you could do for my channel, every YouTuber asks it, so I'm gonna ask it right now. Would you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and definitely hit that bell icon? It really does go a long way for my channel. So as we get started, let me do a couple introductions for you guys. So joined with me today are Brendan Kittredge. Brendan, thank you guys so much for joining. And then also Nick Hagianis. And Nick and I go way back to my Perch days, where we were both co-founders of a super awesome cybersecurity company. So Brendan, let me just start with you. You want to chat with us a little bit, talk to us about who the heck you are, how you found out about Secret, and let's just jump in from there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us on, Wes. Really appreciate it. Saw your video that you did earlier today. That was awesome. So much appreciated. My story with Enigma and Secret Network goes back to the ICO that Enigma held in 2017. Around that time, I had just heard about smart contracts in Ethereum. Actually, it was Nick here that introduced me to the wonderful world of blockchain and smart contracts. And being kind of someone with a lot of different interests in tech and economics and all different kinds of aspects, smart contracts was a super interesting concept to me back then. But I realized that a lot of real world applications and a lot of unique use cases couldn't be built on smart contracts without privacy. And that was what drew me originally to the Enigma project, which is now part of Secret Network.
Rock on. And I'm super excited to talk about that. Nick, you and I go way back, but I would love for you to do a quick intro of who you are and how you also found out about Secret.
Sure, yeah. I was VP of engineering at Perch Security with Wes. We had a great company there. But I was involved with cryptocurrency even before I joined Perch. I think my first exposure was back in 2014 or 2015. I actually got paid in Bitcoin to do some freelance work. So from there, my interest just grew, and I found Ethereum shortly after that. And it immediately spoke to me as a developer because I realized right away that the future was going to be programming smart contracts on the blockchain, and that it could be so much more than just a digital currency. So started following Ethereum, and then of course the altcoin explosion in 2017 led me to become interested in Enigma. I was very impressed with the credentials of their dev team and what they were doing at the time, especially around privacy and secret contracts. And that's how I got involved, and I've been following them ever since. And now with Brendan, I'm lucky enough to be getting more involved in that community, running validator nodes and helping to grow that ecosystem.
That's super cool. And by the way, on my last video, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. I just did like an intro on what Secret's all about. And I covered, Brendan, what you just mentioned, and Nick, what you just mentioned, that early ICO that they had in 2017. They had a rocky start with all of that. And honestly, I love longstanding crypto projects and crypto groups, especially those that go through some tough times and come out for it, because you're always made better for it. You know, Nick, you and I both know the hard times we went through at Perch made us better as a platform. And so I think that's really cool. And, you know, I spent some time in that intro video talking about the potential of what Secret is going to do and the value of privacy built into blockchain. And I shared some examples of, you know, hey, current blockchain technology for most projects doesn't have privacy built in. And I kind of illustrated some examples of where that would be really useful. We need to start thinking about privacy first blockchains as well in the future of where we're going. So I shared with that a little bit just from my perspective, but you guys have been in secret much, much longer. So can you elaborate a little bit more just on the value and your perspective of how a privacy first blockchain is truly important for the future? And Brendan, I'll let you start first.
Sure. The most basic example I can think of is when it comes to transactions. Obviously, we have transactional privacy like a Monero or something like that, right? So as an individual, I don't walk around giving everyone my bank account every time I pay a restaurant for my food or pay my friend, for lunch or anything like that. And why we're accepting of that on blockchain with Ethereum and Bitcoin is kind of weird in a way. Like we've just accepted, oh, well, I wouldn't do it in my normal life, but in blockchain, it's okay. In crypto, it's okay. So that's kind of the, most basic use case is transactional privacy.
And
But
do you think super quickly that people think it's okay with like Bitcoin because it's like, well, it's an address, it's not me directly, so no one's gonna be able to tie it back to me, right? People kind of have that misperception, don't realize just how easily it can be tied back to you, right?
Exactly. But the thing you have to think of is where are you getting that Bitcoin or Ethereum from? Usually you've gone through KYC process, you've bought on an exchange, and then you've transferred that crypto to some other Bitcoin address. And all that can easily be linked back to you as an individual. And there's all kinds of tools like chain analysis tools that can do that. So everyone can know your entire transaction history. Not only are you broadcasting your bank account, but also every transaction you have ever made in the history of, your crypto life, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely agreed with that. Nick, give me your perspectives.
Yep.
I mean, you've been a tech innovator for as long as I've known you. What gets you really excited about Secret and gets you, I mean, you've been hands-on in this. So what's gotten you there?
Yeah. So one of the most exciting aspects for me, being a software developer, is the potential that this chain has for building new kinds of privacy-focused software and privacy-focused contracts. Brendan touched upon transaction privacy and wallet privacy, which is all great and important, but where this chain can really set itself apart is, it allows you to write contracts and it's private, which not many chains offer today. And so this opens up a whole world of applications that you can build as a developer that would be very, very difficult, if not almost impossible, to build on a public by default blockchain. And Wes, I know since you being in security, you definitely understand how important it is to have privacy as it relates to security and as it relates to software development as well. If you think way down the road, I know you mentioned healthcare data in your first video. I mean, that's one of the ones that's like way far down the road, but all kinds of things like, KYC info, anything that's going to be, if you want to transact on any kind of data that you might not want the entire world to know, this is probably the chain to do it on.
I love it. That makes so much sense. And before we get into some of those use cases, maybe one quick intro, just so people know where you guys are coming from. So Brendan, talk to us quickly about Whispernode. What the heck is that? And how does that involve itself in Secret Network?
Oh boy. So where do we start with that one?
Loaded question.
So yeah. So Secret Network is a decentralized network. And like Bitcoin, it is considered a blockchain, which needs blocks to be validated, essentially. So Whispernode is a validator on the network, one of 50, that validates the transactions that are occurring on the blockchain. And all of the validators, all 50 validators around the world, are essentially validating the distributed ledger that exists of all of the transactions that are occurring on the blockchain. So they're agreeing on the state of the network, essentially.
I love it. Okay. So I've never heard a better like explanation in such a short time. That is super awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan. Yeah, it'll go straight to your head, and that's cool by me. You don't actually have to see what's in the transactions to be able to verify them, right?
Well, I'm trying to separate out because there is, so the network agrees on state essentially, right? So you can agree on the state of the network and the state of the contracts that are being executed on the network without necessarily seeing the contents of some of those contracts that are being executed. You can submit verifiable proofs of, that a contract has been executed, for example, like a hash of certain information that is coming out of that contract. And then all of the validators can see that hash and agree on the fact that, yes, it was run. Yes, this was the output.
I just want to jump in real quick and mention that, Secret is a proof of stake network. It's not a proof of work network. We saw Mr. Elon Musk make a big stink on Twitter the other day about proof of work networks and how bad they are for the environment. Secret is a proof of stake network. And we're a validator node on that network, and you can actually stake your tokens with us and earn more Secret tokens.
I'm hearing you. So instead of them accepting Doge for Tesla, they need to accept Secret for Tesla. So you guys watching today, make sure you hit up Elon and say, yo, we know you're planning to start accepting Doge instead of Bitcoin for Tesla. You need to switch over to Secret, my friend. You ought to care about some secrecy. And he does, of all people, given all the things that he's involved in. That's super cool. So Brennan, another question for you. One of the things I look for when I'm evaluating crypto, it's not the only thing that I look at. And sometimes I'll even accept what I'm about to say as like an exception, but is founder credibility, funding, who's behind this? Have they done this before? Are there third parties that truly have a lot of credibility in crypto that are, putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, in investing? And my understanding is Secret has some of that. Can you kind of talk about their funding background and what's been emerging with that in the latest news?
So the Enigma team has been around for a long time. They come out of MIT. That's where the original team was founded. And at the inception of Secret Network, there was a lot of large VC firms involved. Binance was involved, Fenbushi Capital, Hashed, Outlier Ventures is another big firm. And actually just recently, last week, Secret Network raised another $11.5 million from Block Tower Capital, Arrington, and Spartan, and Skynet, who are also 4 very big, well-respected venture capital firms in the crypto space.
So that's pretty top shelf. And Nick, you and I both know having funding come in is valuable. It's not just about the money, but it's about the participation. It's about the buy-in. It's about the credibility. It's about the experience that they give us. And can you guys share a little bit of like what you think that funding will mean for the Secret platform? Is this going to be a huge deal? What does this mean for them?
Right now that the network is live and the validators are up and running and things are starting to be built, the focus has really shifted lately on recruiting developers to develop these applications that use this privacy preserving technology. So a lot of that VC capital and know-how and connections are going to be used to recruit developers to the network so that they can be the ones that build those applications that will create this Web3 environment.
Okay.
I think it also goes a long way towards validating, the token and the network and the team in general. We see a lot of, meme coins or dog coins out there these days. Serious investors aren't going to put their money into those things. And so when you see a blockchain or a token get investment from, highly credentialed and respected investors, such as the ones Brendan just mentioned, you should take that as a signal that there is real technology behind the project and that it does have a real future.
I love it. And I want to talk about that real technology for a minute. So I'm a big believer in we should talk use cases, even if they're not quite there yet, because that's how we explore technology, explore innovation, and say, hey, what are we doing right now? And how can we push the boundaries and push the envelope of what we thought was possible? And so let's start with gaming first. And Nick, I want you to chat with us a little bit about just as a use case, how could gaming leverage and use secret in ways that we've never thought of before that could do something different?
Sure. So in traditional, online games, the state of the game is stored privately on the server, and the players cannot see the next move that the other players are going to make. Now, if you're trying to do gaming on like a blockchain, it's particularly on ones that are public, that's basically impossible today because everybody can see everybody else's transactions, everybody can see everybody else's wallets. And so that's just ripe for cheating. Anybody can go and view the transaction on the network and see what move your opponent's going to make before you go and, make your move or take your turn. On secret network, because all of that information is private, it opens up the world of having game state being stored on chain, and allowing for those multiplayer type games to be hosted and played without people interfering with cheating aspects of the game and seeing what your next opponent's move is going to be. For example, if you're playing an online poker game or something and you're holding a hand and your opponent's holding a hand, well, if you try to put that on a traditional blockchain, anybody could go on the block explorer and see what the other person is holding. But because the data is private on secret network, you can never see what your opponent is holding, and you can't cheat. So that's something that's been traditionally very difficult, if not impossible to do on most blockchains from a smart contract standpoint. And there's even some groups actually doing this right now today with secret network. There's one called Secret Heroes that just launched last week. Maybe Brendan can talk a little bit more about that.
I'll hit on it really briefly because Nick basically described what the use case behind this game was. This game was a result of a weekend hackathon, actually, that took place a couple weeks ago. And it was to showcase that exact use case that Nick just mentioned of having... So in this game particularly, players mint NFTs of secret heroes, which have a set of 4 different attributes or abilities with like a skill level, right? And then in that game, they send them to battle against other secret heroes, and the chain randomly chooses an attribute for it to be matched up against each other. And then they go to battle, and whoever has the highest attribute or skill in that area is deemed the winner. Now, the key use case there, as Nick mentioned, on a normal chain, this wouldn't be possible because you wouldn't be able to put those attributes on chain, right? Because the other players would see who they're battling against. You would still have to depend on some centralized server to do all of the battling, the gameplay, etc. So a lot of these blockchain gaming companies that exist, well, they claim to be decentralized, but they're still depending on centralized game manufacturers and centralized servers to run the actual gameplay.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've always kind of wondered how that would actually functionally be possible purely blockchain. So I love it. And another, I think, example I wanted to point to as well is NFTs, right? So to my channel, if you're not familiar with NFTs, there's been a ton of news like lately, like the artist Beeple selling, a work of art for $69 million, and people being like, how is that even possible? Like anyone can just go and download that same image, but not understanding that, someone actually owns the digital rights of that. They own the original copy. But NFT is way more than just some kind of, piece of art or piece of music that I might hold and have rights to. We could expand way beyond that as well. So can you talk to me, Brendan, just a little bit more about NFTs and how Secret's vision for the incorporation of NFTs could be a real game changer?
Even with that base art use case that you mentioned, Secret Network can do fun things like sealed bid auctions, right? You could have private auctions for art pieces and things like that. So, galleries and big companies like that could auction their art off in those manners. But what's really exciting is doing more things like real world assets represented as non-fungible tokens on the blockchain, right? If I have a title to a car or a deed of a house, right? I could mint those things as NFTs and not everyone would know who owns what you know, the entire transaction history of that house or that car, you know, that doesn't have to be on a public ledger, so to speak. Another interesting thing is like you could have a will, right? So when you die, you want to distribute a bunch of digital assets to your your offspring, and you could actually put that will on chain on something like Secret Network, keep the contents of that hidden until some event occurs. Like I think there's a company that says they have a liveness oracle that checks whether you're alive or not. And when that oracle, you know, communicates to the chain that no, Brendan is dead now, right? It could automatically trigger a smart contract and then distribute those assets to your offspring or something.
Got it. And so it's not unique in the sense that like we could write a smart contract on Ethereum to do that. The difference is Secret enables us to have this completely privacy enabled. So I may not have any idea what's inside of it. Or another example I could think of, just being a cybersecurity person, we could actually have this have a chain of evidence in like legal court proceedings. We can demonstrate through cryptography. No, this was the original creation and was not changed from when it was first created until now. Therefore, it's admissible in court. And I'm no lawyer, but I'm giving examples of where this could be really, really, really powerful. So I love that example. Anything else in terms of NFTs or just use cases overall that will really get people thinking of where Secret could be so powerful?
I think NFTs in general, we're really just scratching the surface of what we're capable of with NFTs. The entire crypto community as a whole, I think, you know, people have latched onto the art aspect, but you know, Topps is out there doing sports cards or digital sports cards, basically as NFT. And you know, like Brendan mentioned, it could be the bridge in the future to you know, owning a lot of real world assets in a digital space. And I think that you'll see a lot more of that and a lot more of those types of use cases start to be built out in the next 3 to 5 years.
I love it. I love it. One last maybe super quick thing as well, Brennan, talk to us a little bit more about you know, bot trading, front running, that kind of thing. I've talked about that a little bit in my original video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts a little bit more on that as well.
Great. Yeah, that was the last one that, you know, I really felt like we had to mention here. So one of the big promises behind blockchain and Ethereum in particular these days is decentralized finance. You know, we talk over and over about how blockchain is and cryptocurrency is going to replace the traditional banking system, and everyone's going to be in control of their own money and all these great altruistic things. But there's some inherent flaws that come with the lack of privacy on a public chain like Ethereum. And one of those is miner extracted value, it's called. So essentially they have programmers, they know that transactions, because they're public, get sent to the validators or the miners, right? And they can set up bots that monitor the transactions on the public chain. And they look for a very large transaction to perform something that's called front running. And essentially what that is they put in a trade, they increase the amount of gas used on a transaction, they get their order in before the large order, and then the large order comes in after their order, drives up the price, you know, enormously because they knew that that was going to happen. And then they set the bot to sell immediately after that order. So in essence, these bots are out there monitoring the blockchain and they're extracting value from these large traders. There's been all kinds of articles about this. There was one on CoinDesk the other day, actually, that $107 million in 30 days, I think in April, occurred on Ethereum. So if you encrypt or keep private the transactions, again, like Secret Network does, you can, in effect, eliminate this problem. And this was the lowest hanging fruit that Secret Network could find right now. And we've released recently a product called Secret Swap, which is like a Uniswap, if you're familiar with it. and it allows you to perform swaps of crypto assets without running into this front running problem.
Got it. And I love it, right? I shared that a little bit. It's a real problem. And I love how you illustrated that. It's like literally millions of dollars in such a short period of time. It's not just this existential, thing that could happen in theory. It's happening right now, and it affects us. And if we really want to see DeFi go from, just crypto enthusiasts, but truly moving the needle in the way finance is done, we need to solve for these problems. Absolutely. And so I absolutely love that. And one thing I would love to know from just you guys watching this video is give us some feedback. Tell us what you think about the value and the future of Secret, or if you have ideas that you think Secret could solve. You're just a post and a comment away from us taking a look at that. I still read every single comment that comes in because I love you guys and I care about what you have to say. And I'd love to be able to take some of this innovation, these ideas, and just bring them to light in terms of what can we explore, what's possible, what could we do, because we know that innovation needs to continue to happen. And that's what gets me so excited about where Secret is going. By the way, one of the other future things I'd love to cover, and Brendan and Nick, I'm curious if you would join me in the future, is maybe just a video on like getting into like the profit side of Secret, how staking works and what the APYs could look like and why people may want to look at that as a legitimate avenue for DeFi. Would you guys be interested in joining me in a future video covering some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
Rock on. So that would be super fun. I'd just love to know from you guys watching, is that something you guys would love to see as a follow-up? Leave me a comment on that as well. We are out of time. Brendan, I just want to say thank you so much for taking some time out and sharing with us. Nick, my friend, you as well. You and I talk a lot, but this has been a blast. And I hope for you guys, you've learned something new. If you have any questions for me, if you have any thoughts, feedback, ideas, again, just as I said before, you are just a comment away. I would love to know what you guys think. All right, guys, thank you so much.